2 years after graduation, when I saw her again, she looked exactly the same. She looked just as surprised as I did. The smile that had been playing on her lips vanished, and I could see a slight tremor in her lips before she recognized me. I instinctively reached out to shake her hand, but I couldn't hide the fact that my fingertips were trembling. We stood there in silence for a moment. I slowly withdrew my outstretched hand and simply stared at her expression. But my fingers were still trembling slightly, and putting my hand in my pocket felt out of place in that situation. It felt like I stood there stiffly for at least a minute, though in reality it was probably less than a few seconds.
Come on, my Korean protege. I guess I kept him in the office too long, and he's so nervous to see a beautiful lady.
If Mr. Strubos hadn't noticed my hands shaking, grabbed my shoulders firmly with his thick hands, and shaken my upper body while making that joke, our reunion would have been truly awkward. Mr. Strubos was Greek and always saw the bright side of everything. He knew my personality inside out. He knew exactly what situations made me nervous and how I expressed my anger. Thanks to his joke, a few people around us laughed and settled into their seats. Jin-hee also gave a slight smile and returned to her seat without a word. And so the party, hosted by my bank and attended by about 300 people, began. While most people were out on the dance floor, I walked over to the table where Jin-hee was sitting. She was seated with a wine glass in one hand and the other resting on her handbag, which was placed on her lap. Instead of sitting in the empty chair next to her, I sat down in the chair right beside her. We started with a smile and some light conversation. Unlike before, she calmly answered my questions and asked me a few of her own. Jin-hee, whom I hadn't seen in over 2 years, looked exactly the same. But she had become more sophisticated, likely due to her new career and social life. Her voice had slowed down a bit and had a more even, steady tone. She was wearing a black dress instead of jeans and a white blouse, and her hair was still exactly as I remembered it. After the party had gone on for a while, we left Seaport and walked for quite some time. Then, suddenly feeling hungry, we stopped at a shabby pizza place on Bleecker Street and began to talk. She told me that after graduating from Boston, she got a job at a law firm in Midtown Manhattan as a paralegal. She said she just passed the bar exam, and she is officially a lawyer. She said she was very surprised one morning about a year ago when she was sorting through incoming faxes and saw my name written on one of the fax covers. She mentioned that she had been hearing bits and pieces about me through mutual acquaintances, but she'd been too busy preparing for graduation and settling into her new job to find the time to reach out. She said she'd always anticipated that the bank where I work and my line of work would eventually intersect with hers, and that she'd even thought today might be that very day. I simply recounted my own past experiences in a matter-of-fact manner, much like she had done. For some reason, I didn't even feel like asking about that incident at the Fresh Meadows movie theater a few years ago. I had a sense of anticipation that this might mark a new beginning, and I had made up my mind to forget about it, comforting myself with the thought that I was just young back then. We spent that day as if we were meeting for business, and after that we met several times for work-related purposes. Of course, these were gatherings with other people, not just the two of us. But occasionally, very occasionally, after work, we would spend about an hour together at a cigar bar called the Grand Havana Room, located at 666 Fifth Avenue. This place, accessible only to members, was where I used to entertain special clients, and it was a spot I always wanted to bring someone special, even if they weren't a business client. Sitting there by the large windows overlooking Fifth Avenue to the north, we shared countless stories that I no longer remember. Sometimes we would sit there for a long time in silence, gazing out the window at the snow falling heavily over uptown. And other times, we'd enjoy a game or two at the billiard table. Not the kind of funny scene you see in dramas or movies where someone teaches billiards, but just a very ordinary game of pocket billiards that lasted well past midnight. I still remember that winter, when I bought her a very beautiful necklace at Bloomingdale's. January 1999 was a very busy month, but since we never forgot about our special get-togethers, we met again at the Grand Havana Room during the last week of January. It was a Thursday. Since we usually met every week, it had been a while since we'd last seen each other. A whole month, in fact. That night, Jin-hee told me she had to pop back to Boston for a bit because of some family business. It had been snowing heavily for 2 days straight that night. I thought taking the Amtrak train from New York to Boston might be more comfortable than a bus or a car, but she said she had to get back quickly and planned to leave that very night. We had a quick dinner together and went down to the underground parking garage.
I'll let you drive when I get back from Boston. Maybe we can go for a drive this Saturday.
Nah, I'm not really into European cars. You know, being patriotic and all.
Yeah, right. You're such an all-American Korean American, aren't you?
After exchanging a few words like that, she immediately set off for Boston. Once she left, our suddenly heavy workloads made it difficult for us to find time to meet, and the plans we kept putting off never materialized, even after more than 2 years had passed. We hadn't seen each other for quite a while, so much so that I even found myself wondering, is this how we drift apart? Then, in early 2000, I switched to another investment bank, and I emailed her to let her know. Geographically, she was at the same law firm located at the southernmost tip of Manhattan, while I had moved to a new firm in Midtown, so the distance between us had grown considerably. However, I didn't think that meant our relationship would grow any further apart, but the reply I received from her a few days later told a different story. It seems we're heading toward different lives now. Our lives have become so busy that it wouldn't feel awkward if we let each other go. Let's live our own lives, relying only on our memories of each other. That was the email. It was actually quite a shocking message, but for some reason, I felt that ending things this way might be for the best. So, I silently agreed to her proposal by not replying. After that, due to my move to Korea the following year and the events that unfolded afterward, I couldn't spare a single thought for Jin-hee. By 2002, when my life had finally settled down again, she had moved too far away for me to go back to her. Our relationship began in 1988 and finally came to an end in 2000. A relationship that never quite reached its conclusion, yet one that had nonetheless drawn to a close. She remains the most precious person of the opposite gender to me, so I still have quite a lot of lingering feelings. But even though I do, the thought that I don't want to open the door to a relationship with her again is stronger, which is why I've put it behind me for many years. It's already been nearly 20 years since I last saw her. I do occasionally wonder when and how we might meet again, but for now, I think it's best to simply remember her as the most precious person in the world. The first person to ever tell me, "I really like you."